Beijing, September 18th, 2025. In a world unsettled by conflict, shifting alliances and intensifying rivalries, all eyes turn to the Xiangshan Forum, China's flagship security gathering. This annual meeting has become one of the most important platforms for Beijing to showcase its vision of global order. And this year, Russia seized the moment to remind the world of its enduring partnership with China. Taking the stage before an audience of military officials, diplomats and strategists, Russia's Deputy Defense Minister Anna Tsivilyova struck a deliberate tone. Her message was carefully crafted, designed not only for those sitting inside the hall, but for capitals across Eurasia, the Global South and beyond. She began by drawing on history, a subject Russia consistently uses as a diplomatic tool. She praised China for preserving the memory of the Second World War, contrasting it with unnamed nations that, in her words, distort the truth about victory. For Moscow, the legacy of World War II is not simply the past. It is a shield in the present. It is used to justify military actions, to frame Russia as a defender of truth, and to position the Kremlin as a nation under siege by those who allegedly twist history. In Beijing, invoking that history serves an additional purpose. It strengthens the bond with China, which has its own historical grievances with Western powers. But Tsivilyova did not stop at history. She shifted swiftly to the present, warning of destabilization across the globe, particularly in Eurasia. Her words echoed with urgency. Disagreements are deepening, tensions are multiplying, and new flashpoints are emerging. It was a subtle acknowledgement of the crises dominating today's headlines, from the ongoing war in Ukraine to instability in the Middle East to the rising tensions in Asia's contested waters. By framing these challenges as a shared threat, Tsivilyova implied that Russia and China must stand together as stabilising forces. Then came the most carefully worded section of her speech, the heart of her message. She emphasized that military cooperation between Russia and China is strengthening, guided by the alignment of their leaders and their ministries. Yet, she was keen to stress that this cooperation, in her words, is not directed against third countries. Instead, she claimed, it is carried out in strict compliance with international law. The phrasing was deliberate, offering reassurance to some, but provoking doubt in others. Why the insistence on legality? For Russia, facing widespread criticism for its invasion of Ukraine, the charge of violating international law is ever present. By underscoring compliance, Moscow attempts to flip the narrative, portraying itself as the responsible actor committed to lawful cooperation. For China, hosting this speech allows Beijing to frame itself as a convener of dialogue and stability, even while deepening its military partnership with Moscow. The Xiangshan Forum itself is no neutral stage. It is China's answer to the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, an alternative platform where Beijing can set the tone and showcase allies who align with its worldview. For Russia, appearing here is vital. It demonstrates to its domestic audience that Moscow is not isolated, that it still commands international respect, and that it has powerful partners willing to share the stage. Since 2022, Russia and China have moved closer in military terms than at any point in the post-Cold War era. Joint naval drills in the Pacific, bomber patrols over East Asia, and the steady flow of Russian energy exports to China all point to a deepening relationship. Moscow's reliance on Beijing is undeniable. With Western sanctions tightening, Russia needs China more than ever for trade, for technology, and for political support in international forums. For China, the benefits are equally significant. Russia remains a vast supplier of energy and raw materials. It offers advanced weapons technology and intelligence sharing. And perhaps most importantly, Russia stands as a willing partner in challenging US dominance in global affairs. Together, Beijing and Moscow are attempting to shape a multipolar order, one where Western alliances no longer dominate. Yet beneath the surface, complexities remain. While Tsivilyova speaks of unity, Moscow and Beijing are not equals in this partnership. Russia, weakened by war and sanctions, is increasingly the junior partner, leaning on China's economic and diplomatic weight. China, cautious as always, seeks to extract advantage while avoiding being dragged too far into Russia's conflicts. This asymmetry defines their cooperation, even as public statements emphasize equality and brotherhood. Still, appearances matter. And in Beijing, appearances were everything. Tsivilyova's words played well to the audience assembled, officials from across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Many of these nations are weary of US-led alliances, eager for alternatives, and receptive to messages of multipolarity. By emphasizing compliance with international law, Russia and China aim to reassure these states that their partnership is not aggressive, but constructive, a claim that will be debated in Washington, Brussels, and Tokyo. Domestically, Tsivilyova's appearance in Beijing carries enormous symbolic value. Russian media will present her speech as proof that Moscow is not alone, that it is courted by global powers, and that its vision resonates internationally. For a public increasingly shielded from critical coverage, such imagery strengthens the narrative of resilience. For China, hosting a Russian minister sends its own signal that Beijing stands unbowed by Western criticism, that it is willing to showcase its partnerships, and that it holds a central role in defining Asia's security future. Xiangshan is not merely a conference, it is a statement. By giving Moscow a prominent voice, Beijing positions itself as the hub of an alternative global order. And yet, questions remain unanswered. If this cooperation is not directed against others, why the need to emphasize legality so strongly? If it is truly stabilising, why do so many regional actors perceive it as a challenge? Analysts suggest that such language is less about reassurance and more about narrative control, an effort to dominate the conversation about legitimacy and law. As the forum unfolded, the symbolism became clearer. Handshakes, staged photographs, and shared rhetoric painted a picture of unity. But unity in international politics is often as much performance as reality. Still, in the age of narrative warfare, performance can be just as powerful as substance. The Xiangshan Forum thus revealed a deeper truth. Russia and China are not simply cooperating, they are crafting a story of shared history, of mutual respect, of lawful partnership, a story designed to attract the undecided, to reassure the cautious, and to unsettle the West. In this struggle for perception, every word matters, every appearance counts. As Tsivilyova's remarks echoed through the hall, the message was unmistakable. Russia and China see themselves not as isolated actors, but as central pillars of a new era. Their cooperation, framed as lawful and stabilising, is intended to be more than strategy. It is meant to be ideology, a declaration of intent in a shifting global landscape. For audiences worldwide, the meaning will depend on perspective. To Russia and China, it signals resilience and partnership. To the West, it reads as defiance and ambition. To much of the global South, it is an invitation to align with a vision of multipolarity that promises balance against dominance. In the end, Anna Tsivilyova's speech was not just another diplomatic address. It was a carefully choreographed moment in a long-running contest over power, law, and history. The Xiangshan Forum became more than a conference hall. It became a stage where Russia and China performed their partnership for the world to see. And so in Beijing on that September day, beneath the banners of cooperation and legality, a broader reality took shape. The world is entering a new phase, one defined by contested truths, competing alliances, and the relentless pursuit of legitimacy. Russia and China, standing side by side, are determined to be at the center of it. Your country carefully preserves the historical memory of the Second World War, while some other countries seek to distort the truth about the great victory. Destabilization in the world, and especially in Eurasia, is deepening existing disagreements and creating new sources of tension. For the defense ministries of our countries, such a unified approach of the country's leaders serves as a guideline for further strengthening military and military technical cooperation. It should be noted, however, that what we are doing together is not directed against third countries and is being done in a strict compliance with international law.
Не направлены против третьих стран и проводятся в строгом соответствии с нормами международного права.